Hey guys, it's me Sally here, and we're back, and this is a Storytime playlist, and today I am reading Pregnant with the Red Leader's Baby, and is another book, but it has the same stuff in it, but it's just Matt and Ed. This is a Tom Tord story right now, so let's get to this. And also, if I say something wrong, please put it in the comments down below. I'll try my best to read it. And I hope that you have fun. I'm going to have it displayed like I have it now, for you can read it if you want. Then you can go on Wattpad and just search it up. Alright, so let's get to this. Tord came back and Tom was excited. "Hello, Tom," Tord said with a smile on his face. "Hello, Tord," Tom said with a mad look. As he walked to his room, then Tord followed. Tord picked Tom up and went to his room and placed him on his bed. "What are you doing?" Tom asked, as Tord took off his shirt and sweater. "Let's have some fun," Tord said as he jumped on Tom and started making out with him. Tord took off Tom's sweater and shirt. Then, after a few moments, they made perfect love. After 2 days, Tord left with his giant robot, but Tom stopped him with his harpoon. Tord was nowhere to be seen but then Tom didn't know what was going to happen. It was going to change his life. First month. Tom has been throwing up lately and he really hates it. So he made an appointment with his doctor. He really wanted to know what was happening at the hospital. Tom went to the room his doctor was seeing him in. "Hello, Tom. Are you ready for me?" the doctor asked him with a smile on his face. "Yeah, I'm ready," Tom said with a normal face. Then the doctor took about 5 minutes to finally see what was wrong with him. "Well, here's some advice. Don't do drugs, alcohol, or for 9 months, the doctor said. "Why?" Tom asked. "Because all of this just leads you being pregnant," the doctor said with a smile on his face. "Is that a joke?" Tom asked while looking at him. "Well, it might be true or it's not. But to be sure, take this when you get home," the doctor said. He handed Tom a pregnancy test. "Well, that is all, and if your results turn out to be positive, then just follow the advice I gave you," the doctor said. Then Tom left the hospital and went straight home. When he got home, he went into the bathroom and did his business. Then he got out the pregnancy test and tried it. He couldn't believe it. Positive. He looked at it and couldn't look away. Then he snapped into reality when he heard Ed knock on the door. "Tom, are you in there?" Ed asked as Tom got rid of the stuff but kept the pregnancy test. Yeah, I'm in here," he said as he flushed the toilet and went to his room, completely ignoring Ed. He couldn't believe it. He was pregnant. He grabbed a beer, but before he could take a sip, he realized this was wrong. He threw it in the trash can and went to sleep. Second month. Ever since Tom found out he was pregnant, he barely came out of his room. "Tom, are you okay? You haven't come out of your room for 2 months," Ed said, worried. Tom just stayed quiet, silent. Ed asked again and again, every day. Ed finally had enough of this. "Tom, open your door," Ed yelled. "Go away," Tom said in a calm voice. "Tom, please open it. I'm worried about you," Ed said in his voice starting to get sad. Tom sighed and went to the door. He unlocked it and let him in. "Tom, what's wrong?" Ed asked with a worried look on his face. Tom stayed quiet. "Tom, please tell me," Ed said. Tom pulled out something from his sweater pocket, the pregnancy test that had a positive sign on it. Ed was so shocked at what he saw. Tom, are you? Yeah, I am, Tom interrupted Ed. Tom started to tear up, but then Ed hugged him. It's okay, Ed said, as he continued to hug Tom. Then Ed stopped hugging him. Who's the father? Ed asked. Tord, Tom said with tears falling from his face. Ed once again shocked. Tord? Ed yelled. 3rd month. Tom kept throwing up in the toilet and he got a bump on his stomach. Morning, Tom, Matt said to Tom in a cheerful way as Tom continued to throw up. Morning, Tom said in a grumpy voice. After he stopped throwing up, he came to the kitchen to eat breakfast. Time skips. Tom laid on the couch and watched TV. Hey, Tom, can I ask you a question? Matt asked. If you're going to ask if you can name the baby, then no. Tom answered. Please, they aren't bad names. Matilda for a girl and Matthew for a boy. Matt begged. No, those are terrible names, 'cause they remind me of you, Tom said to him. Matt then walked to his room with sadness. Tom began to think about it and realized he did need a name for the kid. He decided that if it was a boy, it would be Tyler, and Terry for a girl. He fell asleep after a few minutes. Ed came with a blanket and put it on Tom. 4th month. Tom finally was able to stop throwing up, but his bump was growing bigger, and that would soon be a problem. After he ate breakfast, he sat on the couch and started watching the cats. Soon Matt and Ed joined, and Tom felt something in his stomach. He realized he felt a kick. Guys, I think I just felt a kick, Tom said to Ed and Matt. They both looked at him. Really? Matt questioned. Yeah, I think, Tom answered. Can I feel it? Ed asked Tom. Tom nodded, and Ed placed his hand on his stomach. Ed soon felt a kick. Oh my God, I felt it, Ed said as he removed his hand. Matt then placed his hand on his stomach without warning. He didn't feel anything. Are you sure you felt something? Matt questioned Ed. I did, Ed answered. Matt removed his hand, and then Tom felt another kick, but this time it was harder. Whoa, I think the baby doesn't like you, Matt, Tom said with his hand on his stomach. Matt then got an upset look on his face. Then they continued to watch the show, later on in Red Army Base. So, sir, I have always wondered how they even choose a new red leader, Paul said to Tord. Well, the first red leader was born. They had a birthmark on their left or right hand, and when they had children, the children would have a birthmark as well. If the children didn't have it, they would have to be killed, Tord said while looking at his birthmark on his left hand. Isn't that a little too harsh? Paul asked. Well, if a red leader doesn't do it, then they would be killed whether they have a birthmark or not, Tord said with a serious look. 5th month. Matt was out walking around town until he saw a guy in a black hoodie and realized it was Tord. He ran to him, and when Tord saw him, Matt began to hug him. Tord was very surprised to see Matt hugging him ever since he did all that to them. Tord, where have you been? He said with a quiet face. You're happy to see me? Tord asked. Of course I am, and so does Ed and Tom. Matt was silent. What about Tom? Tord asked with a worried face. Well, he is. Matt then started to whisper in his ear. He's pregnant with your kid. Tord didn't even feel real. Matt then woke him up when he pulled him by the sweater sleeve while running to the house. When he got there, Ed and Tom were about to go somewhere. Ed and Tom stayed quiet when they saw Tord. Tom just went to his room with tears in his eyes. Tord followed. Tord hugged him from behind. "Why did you come back?" Tom said, crying. "Because I love you, and Matt dragged me here, and other reasons," Tord said, with a smile on his face. Tom smiled as well, but he still had tears in his eyes. But Tord wiped them away with his finger. "I love you," Tom said to Tord. Tom has never felt so much love in so long. 6 months. Tom got up, looking at his big bump. He got up and went to the kitchen for peanut butter and pickles. He started eating them because he was just really hungry. Ed walked in and saw Tom. What are you eating?" "Pickles and peanut butter." "What, got a problem with that?" Tom said with a full mouth of peanut butter pickles. Well, I just don't feel comfortable watching you do that, so I'm going back to my room. Ed began walking into his room, trying to forget about it. Tord walked in, looking at Tom. He sat next to him, thinking about the baby. "Hey, Tom, there's something I have to tell you," Tord said, looking down. "What is it?" Tom asked, as he continued to eat the disgusting peanut pickles. "My side of the family has a thing that you might not like. If our child doesn't have a birthmark, it has to die." Tom quickly stopped eating after what Tord said. "What do you mean by that?" Tom yelled. "Well, it's just something my family has to do," Tord yelled back. Tom then ran to his room with tears in his eyes. He then went back to get his peanut butter and pickles, 'cause he was still hungry. He ate them in his room alone. 7th month. Tom was now avoiding Tord ever since he told him about his family thing. Tom refused to leave his room, so Ed and Matt had to bring food to his room. They both got tired of doing it. Ed and Matt decided to make Tom come out of the room. Ed went over to Tom's door and knocked on it. "Tom, can I talk to you?" Ed asked. "Is Tord there with you?" "No." Tom then opened the door. "What is it?" "I just wanted to know, why are you hiding in your room?" Tom didn't answer. Ed got a little worried. "Is it about the baby?" Ed asked him. Tom finally said something. "Just get out. I don't want to talk about it." Ed refused to get out. "Tom, me and the rest are worried." Tom has never heard Ed yell like that. Then out of the blue, Tord came into the room. 8th month. Tom was ignoring Tord, but Tord was getting annoyed by this, so he decided to do something. He went to Tom's room and knocked. "Tom, please let me in." Tord was ignored by him, but he had enough. Tord opened the door, and as soon as Tord came in, Tom ordered him to get out, but Tord didn't listen. "Tom, I know you're really mad at me, but can we at least talk about it?" Tord said as he walked towards Tom. Tom, knowing that he couldn't do anything since he was 8 months pregnant, and he was huge, he just showed Tord a face that you could tell that he didn't want to. Tord walked towards him with his hand about to touch his stomach, but when he touched Tom's stomach, the baby gave a kick. Tom moved a bit to calm the child in his stomach. Tord sat down on the bed, and then Tom sat next to him. Tom started a conversation with him, and it went on perfectly. Tord then promised Tom that even if the child doesn't have a birthmark or not, he will take care of the child as best as he can. They slept together. And Tord had his hand on Tom's stomach. He also promised that he will never let anyone be a threat to the child, and if anybody did, he would send him straight to. Ed and Matt were on the other side of the door, and they were glad the fighting was over. 9 months. The tiny robot. Tom and Tord were home alone watching the insane zombie pirates from 5. Why are they even still making these movies? Tom wasn't enjoying the movie, but Tord was. Tord told Tom to lighten up, yet Tom still didn't enjoy it. Tom was falling asleep until the feeling of something wet woke him up. Tom realized that his water just broke. Tord, I think my water broke, Tom said, breathing heavily. Wait, what? Tord began to panic because Ed and Matt weren't there. Tord picked up Tom bridal style and ran to their bedroom. Tord laid Tom on the bed in the style when mothers are giving birth. Okay, now just push as hard as you can, Tord said as he took off Tom's pants. Tom was screaming so loud he couldn't even hear himself think. Tord then saw a head starting to come out. Tord, when this is over, I'm going to kill you, Tom yelled at Tord, hoping it would be over soon. After a while, crying was heard. Tord looked at the newborn child. He had a little blanket and wrapped it around the child. He then saw it had the birthmark on its right hand. Tord realized Tom passed out, so he sat down with the child. My tiny robot, he said as the baby opened his eyes, but it had Tom's eyes. But Tord was okay with that. Tom woke up and saw Tord with the child. Tord realized Tom woke up. He went over to him and hugged him tight. You did it, Tom, Tord said, with tears of happiness in his eyes. Hey, Tord, can I see our kid, please? Tord handed him the child, and Tom was happy to see the child. Had his eyes. So, what should we call him? Tord asked. Him? You do know. Tom was interrupted by Tord saying multiple boy names. Tom then showed Tord that the child was a she, not he. Tord was silent because he only had boy names, but Tom told Tord that they should name her Terry. Tord agreed. And that's the end of that story. So, here's the other one. I'm going to go move this. I'm going to go to the prology. And I'm going to sit up because my back's hurting me like every day. Alright, so this is the second story, which it has pregnant with his child. It's a Ed and Matt story. Ed and Matt were sitting on the couch watching TV while Tom and Tord were sleeping. Matt looked at Ed while hugging him. He kissed his forehead and picked him up. Matt put Ed on his bed and kissed him. They made out until they got busy in the morning. Ed woke up surprisingly. He was naked in the bed with Matt, who was also naked. Then he saw Terry, a 4-year-old, standing in the doorway with eyes wide open. Ed told her to get out. Told to get out, and she quickly went to her parents' room. Ed was embarrassed that a 4-year-old saw him and another man naked in the same bed. Later, everything was normal, but soon it wouldn't be. First month. Ed woke with a bad start of the day. He threw up half of the morning. Matt came into the restroom to see Ed throwing up, and he got completely worried. Ed, are you okay? Matt said, worried. Ed just gave him a look. Do I look okay? Ed said with a mad look. Tom came in, and as soon as he saw what was happening, he went right back into his room. After a bit, Ed went into the kitchen and ate breakfast. Time skip. Ed sat in his room playing on his phone until Tom came in. Tom gave him a pregnancy test and left. Ed then realized why Tom gave it to him. He then took it and it said positive. Ed wasn't shocked, but he was happy he was going to have a child. But what if Matt didn't agree? He was worried, and then he walked out of the restroom. Tom was right in Ed's way, and Ed knew exactly why he was there. He gave him the test, and Tom didn't seem that surprised. Tom then went to his room. Then he turned around to throw away the test, but then Terry was there and scared Ed. Ed didn't even see her come in, so he just went to his room instead. Terry was a little strange girl that was so sneaky it almost seemed like she could teleport, and she doesn't talk to Matt and Ed a lot because she mostly stays with her parents. Terry then went to her room and took a nap while hugging her blue robot plushie. Second month. Ed was still worried Matt wouldn't agree with him being pregnant. Tom kept telling him he should, but of course Ed wouldn't listen. Terry somehow already knew Ed was pregnant, even though Tom didn't tell her.